Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I'm going to be taking a look at 5 deck lists that were played in Stellar Crown tournaments that, well, I think they're pretty interesting. And I'm really excited to talk about these lists. Also, sorry if I sound a little out of breath. I have to record kind of quickly, and the fire alarm just went off, so I had to deal with that. But anyways, I'm here today, and today, as I said, we're taking a look at 5 decks. They're not necessarily, focused around Stellar Crown cards, but they are all decks that are, kind of, they have to do with the meta, kind of counter the meta in some ways. But let's just take a look at the first list here. This is an Aegislash deck, and Aegislash, if you don't know, has its attack here, Hard Bashing, which for Metal Colorless does 120, which is more than Mimikyu, which does 70. And it has the same ability with, well, the same effect, the ability. It's called Mysterious Shield here on a stage 2, preventing all damage from Pokemon EX and V. And it is, as I said, a stage 2, so it has higher HP. Mimikyu is strong in the current metagame, however, it does have the issue of its lower HP, and Aegislash is a card here that is able to, it has higher HP, right? And the list also plays the card Luxurious Cape, which is a tool card, giving you 100 more HP, and saying that you also give them an extra prize when knocked out. But the 100 HP, it's definitely worth it here because, in normal play, 100 HP, it does matter, but it's not like the end-all be-all. But with a deck like this, 100 extra HP is like maybe multiple hits or at least one hit. A lot of Pokemon that are attacking you aren't doing massive amounts of damage because they need to actually be able to hit you here. You also do play Aegislash EX with 2 attacks, which are solid attacks. The first attack is a good finisher. After you've taken a lot of your prizes, it does 70 for each prize you've taken, and Double Edge Slash here does 220 for 2 metal. 30 to yourself, you have high HP though. You're at like a solid stage 2 EX. Nothing amazing, but it's not bad either. And we also do see Course to Mass Ogerpon EX to wall Pokemon with abilities to wall even more Pokemon. But moving on to, also it does play Great Tree, which is, I believe that's the only new card. There are other cards that are like, haven't seen a ton of play, but Grand Tree is the only card from Stellar Crown here, which is kind of like Rare Candy, but an A-Spec Stadium, I guess. Then we have the Tsareena EX deck here with Froslass. Tsareena EX here, though, does, it puts damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon until it has 30 HP remaining. This is placing damage counters and not doing damage, so this will essentially hit through things like Manaphy and the effect of like the Terra ability thing. Then we also have Froslass, which places damage counters on Pokemon with abilities, both yours and your opponent's, but we do have Munkidori to allow you to also like spread some extra damage here, which is pretty nice and allowing you to clean up KOs pretty easily that way. We also have Panic Mask for defensive measures, and a lot of other like somewhat defensive and countery cards. Counter Catcher is a gust card. Generally, it's used to knock Pokemon out, gust them up, and knock them out. But in this deck, you can really target Pokemon anywhere you want. So it's used to gust up Pokemon you want to trap in the active, and you can snipe around them and deal damage around them. Next, we have a Pidgeot control list here. Pidgeot EX is a card that has a lot of use cases, but the big thing, it lets you search your deck for a card every single turn. It does have synergy being a free retreater, though, which is nice. We have a lot of different things going on here. We have Northern EX, which is used for its attack Covert Flight, which says you're immune to basic Pokemon, and you do some damage as well, which is really powerful, allowing you to wall off Trapghost EX as well as any deck playing, or, Teal Master Ogerpon EX. It walls off Region Bolt EX played with it commonly, and it's useful in a lot of different scenarios. And then you have Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, you have Luxray V, the 2 Ogerpons, the water and the fighting one, as well as Mawile, which is kind of interesting, having double Snorlax, Mawile, and Wellspring Master Ogerpon EX, fulfilling a similar role, but all here. We do see Genesis deck, and then we do see the new Comfey, which is a really fun card. For 1 Psychic, each player draws 3 cards. If your opponent only has 3 cards in deck, uses the attack, you send it over to your opponent's hand, or to your opponent's turn. They have all their cards, they have no cards in deck. The 3 that they were going to draw are now in their hand, and then they lose. So that's kind of cool. As a mill card, not just discarding, but it is force your opponent closer to that deck out scenario, which is definitely a really cool thing that you can do with this deck. And you, of course, have other things going on here as well. You have, in Recovery, I actually played with this deck some. I've not played with the Aegislash deck, though I haven't played against it multiple times on the ladder. It actually knocked out 2 Aegislashes just using Fan Rotoms, which was kind of crazy. Also, there was a wide array of energies. I didn't even pay attention. There's a lot of different energies in this deck, but it's definitely a pretty cool deck there, but I have not played with it. than the Tsareena EX deck. I have not played with this build. I've played with it some with I'm not sure, maybe Vanilluxe, maybe Hisuian Braviary, but not with Froslass. But I have played with this control deck, and I've certainly played with a lot of Pidgeot control decks in the past as well. The Comfy is really good for that specifically endgame scenario. It's not as good as Great Tusk because Great Tusk mills 4, but you do need to have 2 colorless energies, which is arguably easier than a Psychic, but arguably not. And then also you do need to play an Ancient Supporter, which is definitely awkward to do. So I think Comfy is definitely better than the Chiyu EX because it's really good in those late game scenarios. In the mid game, especially without Xerosic Machinations to discard cards from your opponent's hand, it's not like super good, but I feel like with Xerosic Machinations, it could be a solid mid game card, even with something like Hand Trimmer you could put in as well, though that's a little scary to use. But Comfy is definitely a really fun card from the new set, and also does help you set up. Essentially, like helps your opponent set up as well. It's kind of a weird card, but it is pretty fun here. Also, Psychic Energy does allow you to attack with Mimikyu, and also Mawile, which does have use cases. Its attack says during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot retreat, but they also take 90 more damage from attacks. Then, if you have a double turbo on, then you can do Bite, which will be plus 90, minus 20, and then you do have the Psychic, so you're hitting a pretty solid 160 there, which is not bad at all. And that could be useful in certain scenarios. I haven't really used it, but you could use it. And it's a Pidgeot EX Snorlax list, so you have Snorlax, you have lots of trapping, you have Eric's Invitation here, so pretty fun. I played Thornton in the game I played as well. I feel like I could use more recovery, specifically with maybe you could play Roseanne's backup, but you could also definitely play Team Yell's Cheer. I would like that card in the deck, as I had to keep flipping for like Silene. If I had got a little bit unlucky, I would have lost the game. So I need to get a little actually lucky to finish it, I feel like, but definitely a really fun deck in my opinion. Next, we have a deck that, I don't know, I was not expecting this deck. Froslass Vitality, but we got Gouging Fire EX and Roaring Moon EX, 2 big basics, and I'm just surprised. Also, there's Dark Patches and Magnum Basins, only 3 Fire Energy, which, like, it doesn't seem like a ton, but it's really interesting. You have the Fluttermane, you have Genesect here to stop Ace-Specs as well. I didn't really say what this card does, but if your opponent has an Ace, or they can't play Ace-Specs from their hand, if this Pokemon has a tool attached, which is useful in certain scenarios. And we see energy switches. We see it's kind of like a Roaring Moon EX deck. I mean, it is a Roaring Moon EX deck, but it's kind of like a normal one. But you also have the fire stuff in, which is really interesting. Fire is definitely a type that isn't super good right now. I mean, fire energy is not bad with Regidraco V-Star, Dragapult EX, and Charizard EX. They're all very good decks. I feel like that might actually be the top 3 decks in the game. But, yeah, they're probably not. But they're certainly very, very good. And none of them are fire-type Pokemon. The previous evolutions of the Charizard EX are fire, but the rest are not fire at all. They just use the fire energy, but the fire Pokemon are kind of interesting. You got Entei V, Gouging Fire EX, and Braixen V. There might be some other ones. Radiant Charizard certainly is one as well. That is quite good. But Gouging Fire EX is definitely a fun card, doing 260, but cannot use its attack, Blaze Blitz, until you leave the active spot, so that's kind of awkward. Then you do have Mew EX as well as an attacking option, which is definitely a valid attacking option, I gotta assume, as well as Pheasant Dipty EX if you really wanted to, because you have the 4 energy switches. Dark Patch and Magnum Basin are only going to the types that they say. Magnum Basin to fire Pokemon, Dark Patch to darkness Pokemon, and only that specific energy type, of course, as well. You can also make good use of Secret Box here. You have Ancient Booster Energy Capsule as well as Emergency Jelly to make you tankier. And in addition to Rescue Board, no Force Seal Stone, which is kind of interesting. You do also have, of course, good items and good supporters, and then you have Solid Stadiums. You have Magnum Basin and Pokestop, which can both be really big value. So this is a deck that seems like it makes really good use of Secret Box. A lot of decks that play Secret Box play it because they're just fast decks, but they can't make good use of all 4 aspects of the card, or all 4 trainer types that it searches out. But I do think this is a deck that can make good use of that. Then the last deck we're taking a look at is Tarantula E, or not Tarantula, is Spidops EX. And we have TMS Ogerpon EX as well. Honestly, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but Spidops EX is a pretty interesting card. It has its ability, which says your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost is 1 colorless more in Wire Hang for Grass colorless, 90, 30 more for each retreat. For each colorless energy and your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. So Spidops EX is doing a minimum of 120, unless they do have some way to give themselves free retreat, like say more Pico or I guess Rescue Board on like a 30. I don't know. Those situations are kind of silly though, because then the Pokemon you're one-shotting anyways. But then anyway, so you have Spidops EX increasing damage as well. So let's say that they have a 1 retreat cost. I feel like that's pretty common in attackers. right now. So then you have, let's say, 3 Spidops EX in play. Then you have it's hitting 210. Then there is the new tool card Gravity Gemstone. As long as it's attached to the active Pokemon, the retreat cost of both active is 1 colorless more, which is really interesting. And then you have Calamitous Wasteland as well to do more damage to basic non-fighting Pokemon by retreat, increasing their retreat cost. Then you have Pokemon League HQ to also increase their attack cost. Then you do have the Teal Mesh Ogre Pontiacs, which it draws cards and is like your engine, but it also has the benefit of accelerating energy to itself to either attack or to energy switch off to your Spidops EX, which is really interesting. Again, you could also energy switch onto Mew EX, but that seems harder in this deck. There is not 4 energy switch, and also you have less like explosiveness. I was going to say less like energy acceleration, but not sure if that's true. But Spidops EX is definitely a card that's been memed on for quite a while, but is definitely a fun Pokemon. We also do have the single price Spidops, which says for 2 grass, shuffle each player's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into their deck. And this is really interesting, allowing you to completely remove one of your opponent's threats for now off the board, which is pretty cool. I don't know exactly how useful it is, but it seems like a fun card and a very annoying card. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Tell me if you want me to play any of these decks and what your thoughts are on these decks. But I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, joining the channel, comment down below your thoughts, as I said. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.